Math is so much more than just numbers on a page. It's kind of like a secret language, one that describes pretty much everything around us, from the way a ball flies through the air to the shape of a giant bridge. Today, we're going to learn the basic grammar of that language, so let's just dive right in. So let's start with a puzzle we're going to solve together. How can math possibly tell the difference between something super simple, like a straight road that goes on forever, and something way more complex, like the perfect arc of a thrown ball? That's the real question we're digging into, and the answer? Well, it's actually pretty beautiful. Okay, so before we can even think about bending things, we gotta start with the basics, right? We have to master the simple, straight line. This is our foundation, our first and most important building block. All right, so think about it this way. Every single straight line has like two main control dials that set it up perfectly. The first one is called the slope. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the steepness dial. Just one number tells you exactly how tilted that line is. And what's awesome is how simple this is. You already get it, I promise. If the slope is positive, you're walking uphill. If it's negative, you're heading downhill. The math just matches what we feel. It really is that straightforward. All right, dial number 2. This is the y-intercept. Now, this one doesn't touch the tilt at all. Nope. Think of this one more like a slider. It just shifts the entire line straight up or straight down. It's basically just the line's starting point on that vertical axis. And this is where it all clicks into place with this super simple formula, y equals ax plus b. That a, that's our slope, our steepness dial. And b, that's our intercept, our vertical slider. With just those two numbers, you can literally describe any straight line in the universe. How cool is that? Okay, so straight lines, we got them, they're awesome. But let's be real, the world isn't just straight lines, right? It's full of curves. So here's the big question. How do we make math bend? Well, let me introduce you to the parabola. So we're going to start with the simplest line you can imagine, y equals x. Just a perfect diagonal line cutting right through the middle. But now, watch closely. We're going to do just one tiny little thing. We're going to add that little number 2 up there. We're going to square the x. Doesn't seem like much, does it? But trust me, this is a total game changer. And just like that, bam, we get a parabola. Our nice straight line just bent itself into this perfect U shape. This right here is the heart of what we call a quadratic function. It's the shape for talking about curves. So, remember our control dials for the line? Well, the parabola has its own. And the main one is this a value, that number we stick right in front of the x squared. This one little number is going to tell us how wide or skinny the parabola is, and really importantly, which direction it opens. And this is where it gets really fun. If a is positive, the parabola opens up, kind of like a smile. But if you make a negative, it flips the whole thing over, like a frown. So that one value doesn't just stretch it, it can literally turn it on its head. That is a ton of power in just one little letter. Okay, we've got our basic U shape. We know how to stretch it and flip it. Now it's time to head over to the control panel and figure out how to move this thing around. We're going to see how the formula lets us place it anywhere we want on the map. First things first, the simplest move. How do we just slide the curve up or down? You're going to love how easy this is. All you do is take your formula and just add a number right at the end. That's it. If you add a positive number, the whole thing scoots up. Add a negative number, it slides down. Couldn't be easier. Okay, up and down. Check. Easy enough. So what about moving it side to side? How do we get it to go left or right? Now this next one is a little weird. It's kind of the opposite of what your brain wants to think, so stick with me here. To move it sideways, you have to put a number inside the parentheses with the x. And here's the strange part. If you add a number, it moves to the left, and if you subtract a number, it moves to the right. I know it feels backward, but that's the rule, and it's a super important one. So, when we put all of these controls together, the stretching, the up and down, the side to side, we get this. This is the master formula. And with this, we have total control. We can take that main point of the parabola, its vertex, and just drop it with perfect precision anywhere we want. So let's do a quick recap of your new control panel. A is your shaper, it flips and stretches. K handles the horizontal, the left and right. And R handles the vertical, the up and down. That's it, that's the whole toolkit. All right, let's step back for a second and look at the big picture here. What's the main takeaway from all this? It really boils down to this. On one hand, you've got linear functions. They give you straight lines, and you control them with just two things, slope and intercept. On the other hand, you've got quadratic functions. They let you bend those lines into U-shapes, and you control them with stretch, direction, and where you place the vertex. Two different toolkits for two very different but very important shapes. So what? Well, what this means is that you've just learned the basics of a whole new language, a visual language. You now have the power to not just look at a shape, but to actually describe it, to control it, whether it's a dead straight line or a graceful curve. So I'm going to leave you with a final thought. Now that you can speak this language, what are you going to see? When you look around, what stories are these shapes telling you now? Maybe it's the curve of a thrown football or the perfect arch of a bridge. They're all out there speaking this language. Now you can understand them. Thanks for diving in with me.